The box office has been great this summer, but what about the winter blockbusters? Projector manufacturer Christie showed footage from Dune Part 3 at CinemaCon this year as a part of their VDR demo. Of course, the film looks amazing on laser projection, but they also showed the difference between watching it with and without their new enabling technology called VDR, which brings out the details and emotions in dark scenes, an upper level contrast that can change the impact of an image. To learn more, visit christiedigital.com/VDR.
And with consumers coming back to movies, you want to give them what they want, right? And give them more choices than, the old school.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Daniel Loria, the editorial director of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition. And in this week's episode, my colleague Rebecca Pauley interviews Don Schneider, the director of strategic channels at Freezing Point, which produces a couple of concession stand frozen beverage favorites that you might see in a theater near you, such as Cafe Tango and Frazil. They are also the cover advertiser at our CineShow print edition, which will be available at the Dallas, Texas event later on this month. That is coming up in the second half of this episode. But before we get there, we're going to be covering big schedule changes on the release calendar from Disney that are coming up, schedule changes that were announced at the D23 convention. And we'll also be going over our expectations for this weekend at the box office. Joining me once again is my colleague and partner in crime here covering the exhibition world, Rebecca Pauley. Let's start the way we usually do, Rebecca. Last thing you saw, where did you see it?
So I've seen 2 things in theaters since we last recorded for the podcast. Over last weekend, I caught The End of Oak Street at the AMC Empire 25 and I don't know, could we say Limax here, or is that is it some
No, I don't think
trouble?
that's gonna get us. But I'm not sure. Is that a Limax? Here's the thing about, and this whole conversation we're going to hit when we talk about the Dune pre-sale situation going on right now. So here's the deal with that. Here in New York City, we are so spoiled because we have probably one of the best IMAX screens in the entire world up in Lincoln Square. That for us, Rebecca, anything that isn't Lincoln Square seems like a downgrade. So I don't know where it fits in. I think technically those IMAX screens down there, actually anywhere in New York, fit in an actual
It is
specification
an
of
actual,
IMAX.
and to be fair, like, the reason that they're not, screening in the Lincoln Center IMAX obviously is because that's taken up by the Odyssey for the
They call
foreseeable
dibs.
future.
Yeah, that's Odyssey territory up there. We can just recall that auditorium Ithaca. You know how they have like little themed auditoriums in Lincoln
It's
Square?
as difficult
Just
to get
call.
into as Ithaca is to for
Hey,
Matt
hot
Damon to
ticket.
get to, so
I don't know if you've seen this. I sometimes, when I can, go to sports games. So I just don't like giving money to Ticketmaster. So I will go to the secondary market, like
yeah.
StubHub. So I go, well, the college football season is about to start. I'm heading over to Colorado for homecoming. I'm looking for tickets. You will not guess what showed up on a StubHub page when I went looking for college football tickets. The
See?
Odyssey, Lincoln Square. Insane. Like, we're
What's the
talking
price
about
point? How much is the resale value on these?
higher than it makes sense. Like, much higher than it makes sense. It's
Oh,
crazy. I had never seen that. I don't know how they're getting away with that, actually. There's a lot of
mm.
logistical questions I
Yeah,
have for
like
that.
how if the people buying them in the first place are getting when they're new ticket drops, if it's attached to their Stubs account. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes me uncomfortable, to say the least. But no, we'll
Yeah.
go more into detail about the IMAX-ness of our industry, and it's not even an IMAX conversation. It's an AMC Matreon in San Francisco and an AMC Lincoln Square in New York City conversation. It's just two theaters that we're extrapolating an entire industry around right now. We'll talk about that shortly. I do wanna get your reactions for And the Folk Street, because we're both big fans of It Follows, and of course, this is,
Well,
follows a couple of films from that filmmaker.
yeah, I had a really good time with it. It was, kind of those old, like, comic book creep show amazing stories type of vibes. It really felt like that, just a straightforward, like, "Hey, what if we took this suburban neighborhood and dropped it into prehistoric times?" You really don't need anything else in that. It works. The special effects were great. definitely a very Amblin-esque. You
Mm,
felt that Bad Robot J.J. Abrams connection, so it wasn't in terms of, comparing it to last year's big August horror breakout, Weapons. I mean, that I feel like
right.
was on a whole different level, but The End of O Street was still really fun. My parents got out to see it as well. They liked it. So, yeah, I had a good time with that one, and then 2 nights ago, I got out to see Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma at the Alamo Drafthouse
Right.
in Manhattan. It's my first time going to an Alamo since they retooled their controversial
Yeah,
QR order
I have
thing.
thoughts on that. By the way, that's been such a
I have
internet
thoughts on
scandal as opposed to like an actual thing to be concerned about. But
yeah,
listen, as someone that's objective, as someone that knows the industry, that knows that QR is
yeah.
a standard operating procedure everywhere,
I was
how
shocked
did
by
this
how
work
it
for
was
you?
whatever bugs that were there, and they worked it out. It was the system I didn't have a problem with. It made it really easy to request refills of soda, which I was down in soda like gangbusters, because if you're gonna charge me $8.50 for the prices, they raise the prices to a point where they're kind of insane, and they change the queso recipe, and I'm not
All
happy
right, so
about
that's where you were upset about, but well, price changes happen. The
yeah,
QR
I
code
mean,
thing
it
was just such
I
an
don't mind that.
overblown situation,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, everyone else does it in the entire dine-in cinema industry. When you talk about
Right.
margins as tight as you get with dine-in these days, especially in states like New York and
And I
California,
mean, I don't
it's
mind how it cuts down on the amount of the labor issue, the number of staff that you have to have just walking back and forth across the street.
right. Or
Oh,
someone coming in and having a full-on conversation next to you as they're trying to order their 3rd beer
mhm,
or 2nd order of chicken fingers or whatever. I don't mind it. I don't think it's at all intrusive. I think it's a bad faith campaign from people that maybe, should have a couple more hobbies. Go to the movies, have a good time. If you don't like that theater, pick another one. It's fine. But yeah, there's we sat out of that debate very strategically just because there's a lot of factually wrong things being said about that QR code rollout. There's a lot of
mhm,
factually wrong things that are being assumed about the implementation of QR codes and dine-in that having that conversation is just walking into a bad faith debate with people that frankly don't know what they're talking about. We appreciate their business. I hope they keep on coming to the movies, if not at Alamo, anywhere else. But operationally, I've been to Alamo plenty of times since the QR system rolled out, a QR
mm,
system that's been planned for many years at that circuit, by the way.
mhm,
And I really didn't think it was at all intrusive or took me out of
yeah.
the film in any way.
No, it was fine. I obviously I get there early to get all of that taken care of, before the movie starts. But yeah, I didn't mind that. Honestly, I have more problems with the AMC app and their concessions pre-ordering situation.
Yeah, some
I got notes on all these apps. I got notes on all of it.
I
And it
think
was a
that's a
good
timely conversation as we talk about the AMC app because talking about little changes that we could do here and there in the digital footprints of these companies, AMC's having a little bit of a rough go right now, making sure that they can get a hold of all the tickets coming in for their pre-sales for both Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3.
I
That
saw
AMC app has been glitchy, and we've been seeing some headlines around it. I can vouch for it. We're both A-list members, Rebecca.
uh-huh,
Getting those reservations in it over the last week, where both Doomsday and Dune Part 3 go on sale, it's been tough.
uh-huh,
Now, I wanna cut them some slack that there's been outsized demand for these titles and,
mhm.
the AMC app probably gets
But
more
it's not like
wear and
it's
tear than
demand that
anyone
they didn't
else.
it's not like it's outsized demand that they didn't see coming.
No, that's a good
Like
point. That's a good point. Yeah. But I think in any system, when you have something this big rush for one specific format, and to be totally fair, this is where we're going to expand on what we teased a second ago, the demand for IMAX
mhm.
format screenings right now, and how really since the Odyssey that's been part of the
Just little
film
tweaks, like
conversation.
yeah, like at the Lincoln, the AMC, Lincoln Center IMAX, that is such a hot ticket. Just little things, like when you go and look at the list of showtimes, it'll always say for the entire run, it's allotted, this is almost full, almost full, almost full. They're all full. It's the only seats are available are the wheelchair spaces that
Yeah.
are on actual seats. It just makes it just that little tweak that could
I
be
know.
to make the
And
process a little more seamless. But that said, I know I'm
I'll go into this because
a little bit gift horse
spoken
in
to
the mouth.
press. I've spoken to press about this already. I
Mhm,
think this is a legitimate concern. And listen, as someone that went and tried and finally got to buy a ticket for the AMC Lincoln Square IMAX to see the 70 millimeter presentation of the Odyssey, and I didn't get to do that until like the first week of August.
mhm.
I understand how frustrating it can be to make sure that you find your auditorium for it. At the same
'Cause I
time,
wanna see the movie, I'm not trying to resell a ticket.
I totally understandable, totally
Yeah,
understandable. What I've told my colleagues in the press, our colleagues in the press, is what I'm about to say to our audience right now, listening to us that don't work in the industry is this isn't a national problem. This isn't even a state problem. It's not even a New York City problem. This is a problem for one auditorium in one cinema
mhm,
across 2 cities. Like I said a second ago, the IMAX and the AMC Matron in San Francisco and the
mhm,
IMAX at the AMC Lincoln Square here in New York City. They have outsized demand right now for a select number of showtimes across a couple titles, right?
mhm,
So if you wanna buy a ticket for any movie in the AMC app or really any app, it'll be quite easy for you to do
mhm.
so. I think even our colleagues at the box office
I
company, shout out for them to produce this technology. They've been making it easier down to the point. I don't know if you remember what I tell my colleagues in the press all the time is if you walk into a theater, what's the number one awkward design choice of every movie theater you go to today? It's the boarded up box office.
was
Growing
gonna
up,
say the secondary concessions concession
the
stand you have in
secondary
front.
concessions, right? So it was all of the line crowd element and just spaces,
Mhm,
physical space you have to have in a movie theater for lines. I know you're a Star Wars geek back when I was a Star Wars fan. Remember
mhm.
getting those episode 1 tickets? Did you camp
Oh,
out? Did you go early? We
oh,
went
yeah, we did.
early.
I mean, for me, the bigger deal was the midnight Lord of the Rings screenings, or
There you
that
go.
was the
There you
waiting
go.
line. And but
So
I agree with you and I don't. I agree with you in the sense that when you're talking to people who aren't in the industry, there's definitely a tendency for clickbait headlines like, "Oh my gosh, this big controversy about the app glitching for the Odyssey," like, just people looking to score outrage points. Like, yeah, that's ridiculous. But just talking amongst people who are in the industry and are familiar with the background, I think there's something to be said about the demand opening weekend demand specifically is shifting so strongly over to premium formats, and you see the industry responding by adding different premium formats, by having a variety of premium auditoriums in one location. Like, it's only a problem in these 2 cities for these 2 screens for this particular format of the Odyssey, but I think we're also gonna see I mean, as things go on, like you said, Dune Part 3, Avengers: Doomsday, I think there's a trend here that we have to that the industry has to keep on top of
yeah,
because
we have to be on top of it.
if
You
they're
have
gonna
to
have
make sure.
you want people to make you wanna make the process seamless. You don't want people who have in the case of AMC, like, we're Stubs members, so we've kind of already paid for our premium tickets, like, mentally. You don't wanna make that process difficult. You don't wanna burn
Absolutely.
someone.
And, you know, it's one of those things where if you have a bad experience
Yeah.
with anything regarding exhibition, instead of saying, "I had an issue with this one thing," you
Mhm,
extrapolate it into an industry-wide thing, and I think that's where my concern is because, yes, it is
mhm,
difficult to get digital tickets for specific films across 2 specific auditoriums in the country. But if you wanted a Spider-Man: No Way Home ticket, you didn't have any problem finding tickets for that, really. If you want most tickets out there for most other auditoriums and most other theaters, it won't be an issue. Now, what I want to sort of stress here as well is that how much of an issue is this an A-list problem as opposed to just a digital ticketing problem? What I mean by that is what you said a second ago. A-list members, which is probably the most popular subscription program here in the
mhm,
US, have the right to go to 4 screenings per week, any
mhm.
format, any film, premium formats included.
No premium surcharge, so obviously you immediately go for the best ticket. That's what I do.
Absolutely. Now, that's what I do as well. And let's say, and this has happened to me before, let's say we buy a ticket for the Odyssey and it's, you know, when we buy it, it says Thursday at 2 a.m., God help us. And then,
Mm,
Wednesday night comes around and you're like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. Thursday at 2 a.m. I know it's a great seat. I'm going to cancel it. Is there
mm.
any penalty? No. So we
They make
just
it
had
very
this ticket
easy.
for 3 weeks. We sat with the ticket for 3 weeks and we canceled it, no penalty, and it was released. Now, I think that's part of the problem here. I think a lot of folks are going in and are snapping up these like tentative plans, tentative reservations, in
Mhm,
some cases, months away, like what we're
mhm,
seeing with Dune Part 3, like what we're seeing with Avengers. So
mhm.
they're getting a pre sale, calling dibs on the seat. You know what this is the equivalent of? When we were going to the movies as teenagers, you remember, I'm not going to say it was our parents, let's say our friends' parents that we didn't like going to the movies with. And they'd show up maybe 30 minutes before the showtime and they'd snake around the sweatshirt across
Oh,
the
I mean,
four
the
seats.
all media situations where if you have a scarf, you try to, like, spread it
The
out with how
scarf?
much.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hate that. That's what
yeah.
this is. This is the
Mhm.
digital equivalent of
It's
snaking
dibs.
around the sweater
It's
to calling
yeah.
dibs. And because there's no penalty, it's creating a false sense of
Mhm,
scarcity around two specific auditoriums. It's also, I think, any premium in general. So I
mhm.
think it is tougher to get a premium seat for that reason. Because everybody that has an A-list membership is going in saying, call dibs on this one, calls dibs on that one. It's months ahead of time, and there is
And
no
it and
penalty
it's
to
and it's
cancel.
true. It's true across, I think, a variety of premium formats as well, and I think, I've done that where I've booked a ticket and then canceled it
Yeah,
because I was sick or because, it's always because something came up,
right.
and I just,
And listen, I love
have
that.
those tickets going back on the market at the last minute when people are canceling, and yet there's no real easy way for someone who maybe wanted a ticket, but it was
Right.
sold out
There's
to
no
see that
wait
that ticket
list, anything
popped
like
up.
that. What I suggest here, this is just an open suggestion for anyone that has an app that or maybe a subscription program that enables premium tickets, is the same way that when I go in to reserve a table at a restaurant here in New York City on a Friday night. You ever try to cancel a reservation on a Friday night for a restaurant? They'll charge you. They'll charge your credit card. You put down your credit card for that reservation, there will be a $50 cancellation fee, sometimes a $100 cancellation fee for
Mhm,
a hot table in Manhattan for a restaurant. What I think will curb this and will maybe solve a lot of these issues is
mhm.
if you say, wonderful, you know what? Thank you for buying this ticket because it's a premium auditorium, or because it's, let's say, not even premium,
Because
let's say
demand is
because it's an
high.
an
Mhm,
IMAX 70 millimeter just for opening weekend, right?
mhm,
Because of that, if you cancel, the cancellation fee is $3 or $5.
mhm.
People are going to be a lot less willing to take a rider on, let me call dibs on this seat, on that seat, on this seat, on that
And
movie.
$3, that's not gonna make or break anybody, but it's just that little
No,
mental stopping point that makes you think,
exactly.
like,
You don't want to.
maybe I shouldn't hog this seat."
That's exactly what it is. It's seat hoggers. It's snaking your sweater there just because you want to claim all the seats whenever you can. I think was bad
Yeah,
form back when we were teenagers. I think
yeah.
this A-list hogging of premium format tickets is bad form. And the issue here, and this is where I come with the outside of the industry aspect of it, is it's being extrapolated by reporters here in New York, and I've talked to a couple of them already, is like this is a national problem. Like there's these digital ticketing crises that are happening. There's no digital crisis happening. The only ticketing crisis that we have is that there's a great demand for two auditoriums in this country for what, three movies, four movies? And I think, again, part of that solution is maybe down the line, let's get rid of the stub hubization. Let's not get into a ticket resale market.
Mhm,
Guys, come on. Let's get over that. Let's sell tickets on our own websites. Let's get really good at that. And
mhm,
maybe my suggestion to the industry, we don't want to penalize the moviegoer ever. We understand plans change. So maybe it's just for the really, really high demand auditoriums in
mhm.
the really high demand periods, maybe opening weekend only, maybe IMAX 70 millimeter only,
Or
and we put on a
maybe
cancellation fee. That's all I'm asking for.
or not even maybe you just do something like, "All right, you get 2 times in a month to cancel something, but if you're somebody who keeps canceling, give you
Exactly.
a little grace.
Right.
It happens to everybody, has issues. Somebody always we've saved seats for friends at screenings.
Absolutely. I've canceled
Sometimes you
many,
have to,
many tickets, but
mhm,
but you're right. I think when we talk about
just to make people
this
think about it a little
frustration,
bit. Yeah.
Because I guarantee you the people that are hogging up those seats aren't people that are seeing that movie for the first time. It's people that are just saying, "I wanna claim this is my own," in the best
Well, I
case
mean, which is
scenario.
what
In
the
the worst
industry
case
and
scenario, it's a StubHub resale
yeah.
situation, which we do not wanna go into in this
No, I
business.
mean, it's the end result of what the industry has been trying to do is cultivate FOMO essentially, and
Right.
maybe the FOMO got a little too strong for some people, where it's just immediately snap it up regardless of any other
And
factors.
what I would also suggest, because this is something that we both did, you did it, I did it, I remember for episode 1. It's such a formative moment in my movie going, life because I was just, like, this big Star Wars kid when I was,
Mm,
like, 10, 11, and then a Star Wars episode 1 comes out, and I remember lining up at the Falls in Miami for that UA Regal, location
mm.
they have there, and I got opening night tickets, and I remember as soon as the credits go on, I'm like, "Oh, this is garbage. I don't like this anymore," and I
Mm,
just completely dropped out of Star Wars. If there was ever a movie that gave you an ick for an entire fandom, for me, it was
mm,
episode 1. However old I was, like 12, 13, whenever that came out, maybe 14, I just lost all interest in that franchise, but I do remember very fondly the experience of lining up in person to get those tickets. And I heard that for Dune Part 3, because there's this demand in Lincoln Square, there were actually people showing up to buy tickets because they didn't want to risk it in terms of the app situation to get their seats. I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think it's part of the excitement of going to the movies, of securing your opening night ticket. I think it's exciting. I think it's good. And again, I want to congratulate obviously the great strides this industry has made in making digital ticketing so easy. But my
mm,
argument here to the quote unquote problems we're facing is that it's too easy. It's too easy to cancel. It's too easy to hog up tickets. It's too easy to push out occasional moviegoers because
mm,
sometimes super fans or your
mm.
subscription program users are abusing this system knowing there is no penalty whatsoever for them to cancel last minute. And that's what I think is the first thing to change. I'm not saying every showtime, I'm not saying every title, every auditorium, or every
Yeah, but
cinema. It's just a
there are certain
handful of
things
problems.
like the 70 millimeter IMAX screenings of Dune. You already
Yes,
know that
you
that's
know
going
that. Yeah.
to be the same situation, at least at those AMC theaters that have those. I mean, obviously, at Regal and other chains, their subscription programs don't have that. They still ask you to pay a premium surcharge, so we're
And
not
I
talking
I
about
bet the
that
problems that they have because of that extra dollar or 2 built in are probably gonna be less intense than the scarcity issue that we're seeing for these AMC IMAXs. And again, it's a situation that we're in because of the overwhelming success of
we don't wanna look
AMC's
a gift
digital
horse
ticketing
in the
capacity.
mouth here, yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, AMC did really well with its digital ticketing app, and AMC did really well with its A-list program. They did so well that it's caused a problem that unfortunately gets extrapolated into the entire industry. So I don't want to pretend there's not an issue. There's absolutely something there to fix. I
mm,
think the solution's quite easy. I just suggested my own solution, but at the same time, I don't want to make this a thing that
no,
involves our colleagues in other circuits when it just clearly doesn't. There's plenty of circuits that work with a number of different companies, not just Boost from Box Office, to create digital ticketing platforms that have not gone down, that have been able to address this
mm,
outsized demand so far. But no, I think it's a fascinating conversation. And God, it just feels great to sit here, 6 years removed from the dog days of the
oof.
2020 pandemic and talk about hot tickets instead
Eh.
of talking about when Tenet is going to come out,
All
if you
all
remember.
all Gen Z are snapping up the tickets before it's yeah, I mean,
Good, good.
I'm it's definitely not something to be upset about.
No, not at all. I do have strong opinions on this Infinity Vision rollout thing, though, as we're talking about Doomsday pre-sales coming out. You know what the advantage of basically not only every other premium format, but especially IMAX. IMAX should send a very nice thank you basket to our friend Ryan Coogler, who did that wonderful PSA on the different formats and how they
Mhm.
look, and even the Odyssey's website that sort of shows you the trailer and the different aspect
Yeah, the different
ratios. When you buy an IMAX ticket, there is now this consumer awareness on understanding that you're buying a distinct ticket. And I think that's something that like ScreenX, for example, can do, or even
Mhm.
motion seating.
Dolby.
Infinity
Yeah.
Vision, Dolby, absolutely. Dolby has that wonderful snipe before the movie comes on, right? Of like, this is Dolby Vision and this is Dolby Atmos. And you get it. You feel it and you learn to seek it out. Infinity Vision has none of that. to have
Mm.
this milk toast, not really certification program. And I call it not really certification because, as far as I know, Disney's not sending anyone out to the field to inspect that these theaters
Yeah, it's
actually
just
are this Infinity Vision
self-reporting
thing.
that yeah.
Self-reported. If you hit these benchmarks, you're Infinity Vision. If you're not, you're not. IMAX means something, Dolby means something, motion seating means something, ScreenX, panoramic formats means something, HDR by Barco, VDR by Christie. These things mean something, and there is consumer education to sell that. Infinity Vision has nothing. It's a catch-all term that is, I think, going to have a really big blowback when it comes to the consumer. Because if you say Infinity Vision, it can mean one of 13 things. And that lack of clarity, I don't think is a good sort of messaging to have for this industry at all.
No, I agree. I mean, it's just like the branded premium formats that cinemas have, where it's this is Prime, this is XL, this is you don't wanna burn people and make them feel like you're just
Exactly.
trying to take them for fees.
It's something that our good friend Clint Wasilowski from Marcus Theaters always says. If you're going to come out with a premium format, make sure it's premium. Don't don't oversell it, right? And I think
Yeah.
a lot of self-branded formats from circuits are able to pull that off, and they're very careful, in introducing what these formats look like. Of course, we've seen the success of something like Epic from View, which brings
Mm,
in the Dolby Atmos technology with HDR by Barco to give you a specific sort of experience. Cinemark XD, I think, is fantastic as well. There's a lot
yeah.
of private label premium formats that are also doing this work. Infinity Vision just kind of groups everything together and doesn't really clearly communicate to the consumer
Yeah.
what that is. That's the wrong thing to do in the PLF boom, by the way. Not being clear as to why this is a premium screen in the way that IMAX makes it very clear once you watch a trailer, right?
Especially when so much time and effort and money has been put into laser upgrades, to things
Right.
to make that standard experience better than it ever has been in the past. Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely it feels like it could go wrong
I
pretty
have I
pretty
have
quick.
grave concerns about it. I'm not really too excited about how you remember when I was at CinemaCon, we were there together and we saw that presentation from Disney when they announced it,
It's
and I
like
was
everyone's like, "What is
confused.
Infinity Vision?" I don't know.
And then, our colleague Sperling Reich over at Cine Europe, he went and there was mixed messaging there from Disney executives themselves, speaking to exhibitors, not even to the public. So if exhibitors don't really know what it is, other than just like a list of check boxes that your auditorium has to pass, how are you going to make that case for the consumer at the ticket buying level? I'm very uncomfortable by it. I just hope that Disney either retires the Infinity Vision thing or makes it a lot clearer on if it is a legitimate certification thing, or just be upfront about it. It is what it is. It's a bad marketing gimmick. And it's a bad marketing gimmick that I think can work against the work that exhibitors are putting in making the premium format special.
Mhm.
But listen, it's not all bad right now with what's
Yeah.
going on with Disney. We have to be critical. We have to be upfront. But at the same time, we're coming off of a very successful D23 that the studio put on. And there's a lot of excitement for their upcoming titles. Of course, the Doomsday pre sales are already up and running, already very impressive. And we've got to mention some of these titles on the schedule, Rebecca. Let's start with something called Ghost Market coming up on March 10th, 2028. That is a Pixar original. Those have had, let's say, not the best track record at the box office, but I don't know if you saw the last one that came out in that same slot this year. I think it was Hoppers, if I'm not mistaken. Did you get to
Mhm.
catch that in theaters?
No, I did not
It's a
catch
cute one.
Hoppers.
It's a cute one. I saw bits of it down in Argentina when I visited our friends over
Mhm,
at Luma. It's a good original. Listen, those films, I think at this point, Pixar has one of three release dates. It's either the midsummer one, where that has to be the performer. Then
the
you have your
Thanksgiving.
yeah, the
Mhm,
Thanksgiving one where, when they take that, they sometimes alternate that with Walt Disney Animation. But when Pixar takes it, there's high expectations for it. That March, February slot, that's where your Onward, that's where your Hoppers goes. That's where you get to
mhm,
have, maybe more original films. That's where the Ghost Market is scheduled right now. Then
mhm.
on March 31st, I believe, I'm not certain, but I'm seeing here something called Tangled on the schedule for March 31st, 2028. That has to be live action, right?
That's not yeah, that's the live action Tangled, and that for me, I mean, that's unlike a Moana situation, it's been a long enough time since we
Yeah,
had Tangled. I feel like that IP has not yet been wrung dry. So yeah,
agreed.
that
I
one. I
think
feel
that's
like
going to
I
be a
feel
good
like
one.
that one. And speaking of the Disney princess, Frozen 3, just printing the money now.
Yeah.
Yeah, November 24th, 2027, taking that Thanksgiving spot for next year. Yeah, and there was, some news about Coco too, right? Which
Yeah, we've
I'm
got Coco
kinda
2
low-key
for
surprised that
November.
hadn't happened already.
That was a little surprising, right? Coco 2 had been talked about for a while. It's finally on the schedule for November
I
21st,
feel like the
2029.
success of Zootopia too, like, the first Coco did so well in China and the second Zootopia did so well in China, it just I feel like Coco, it has to be an international play
Mexican
here.
culture, man. We're worldwide. What can we say? And then obviously we've got some updates from our friends over at Marvel with an untitled X-Men movie scheduled for May 5th, 2028, and an untitled Ghost Rider movie scheduled for July 28th, 2028. I know we've been talking about the difficulties that Marvel has had in the post Endgame era. Now, of course, movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, movies like the Spider-Man titles that we've seen very recently, and even Doomsday. I think those are
Mhm,
exceptions to the rule because they have connection to this earlier version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
mhm,
So I will say that I think there are huge stakes for both X-Men and for Ghost
mhm,
Rider to perform in 2028 in a way that I don't think Fantastic Four really fulfilled those expectations last year. At the
mhm,
same time, I feel very confident that both Ghost Rider and X-Men are going to be the big Marvel comeback in this new generation that we've been hoping for. Do you get that sense, Rebecca, or do you think that's going to be a heavy lift that depends on how that Doomsday reception goes this winter?
I feel like it's it's as not as big a risk, definitely, as Fantastic Four with this property, if only because, I mean, the last how many X-Men movies have been god awful? I feel like anything above a C plus compared to, like, a Dark Phoenix or something is gonna be that's a win. That's a win
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, I know that I feel like the Disney's very, very good at the marketing and the lead up. I mean, with Doomsday, what they had people watching, like, a 15-hour live stream of Chairs.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like
And people
this
sat
is one
through
that
it. People sat
yeah,
through it.
people
God
watched
bless
it,
them. I don't
people watched
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you underperform on Fantastic Four and X-Men,
Yes.
that's
Then
rough.
you're in trouble.
Ghost Rider,
And
I'm
then
not
you've got
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, right? Because you're right. The benchmark on that I think is still up in the air. And then obviously you're finishing up the year on the Marvel side of the conversation with a Black Panther 3 movie scheduled for December 15th of 2028. So that will be that Avengers time in the schedule that they're taking up this year and they're taking up next year. You're following that up with Black Panther 3. I think the concerns I had from really all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the 2020 till 2026 time period, I
Mhm,
think they should be quelled or at least mitigated, not only after the success of Spider-Man this summer, but by some of those numbers that we're seeing for Doomsday that is opening up in mid-December. So I think brighter days ahead here for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Good for them. I mean, we need that really as an industry component. I'd love to see these schedule updates with a couple more, let's say, original films, say more risky things out there. But
mhm.
you will have to look at that from other studios moving forward. Other than that, Rebecca, I think this weekend is going to be maybe, unfortunately, the last $100 million weekend we get for a while. We're expecting a $30 to $40 million week four from Spider Man Brand New Day to lead the market this weekend. In second place, we are expecting the next iteration of the Insidious franchise. I forget the subtitle. Do you have that in front of you?
Out
Is
of
it The
the
Scary
further.
Man? The Boo Monster?
Out of the further, maybe the Boo Monster is gonna be number
That
7.
that would have been much better. I don't know why they
Mm.
don't hire us for these things. So, Insidious number TBD is currently scheduled.
It's 6 city
There
it's
we go. Insidious 666. If you have the sixth entry of a horror franchise, just go with that branding. It's done for you. I just, who cares?
It's gonna make
There's an
money. It's
Insidious
gonna make
movie.
money.
It's going to make money. Is it going to make enough? We don't expect it to be one of the top performers in the Insidious franchise. We're currently anticipating an opening weekend between 20 and $30 million. To be fair, that is the range where the last three Insidious movies have opened. The Red Door opened to $33 million, The Last Key to $29 million, and Chapter 3 opened to $22 million. That's more or less the range that we're anticipating
Mm.
for this Insidious film. And then in third place, The Odyssey is expected to still stay in the conversation with gross between 12 to 17 million, around that range. All in all, we expect this to be the 18th consecutive $100 million plus weekend in the domestic market, matching the record that we had in 2023. But after that, slow going, slow going. Unfortunately, we're going to have to rely on, let's say, overperformers, a couple surprise performances, but mostly on volume of new releases to be between 10 and $30 million opening weekends to really get us through a couple of bright spots
This
until
is yeah,
Thanksgiving.
times like this on the schedule is when event cinema and alternative programming can really shine
Yes.
through.
Yes, yes, that's what we're hoping for. Maybe a concert film to sneak in, maybe an event cinema, a situation to come and surprise folks. We just saw how well that Hades Town live capture did in,
Mm.
going up against Spider-Man, no less. So we'd love to see more of that in the coming months. And to find out more on our forecasting and everything around the new scheduled releases, go to our website, boxofficepro.com, for the latest updates in theatrical exhibition. Other than that, Rebecca, we've got a feature interview with you talking concessions, which is probably your favorite topic, as is mine, but you're much better at asking these questions than I am. What are some of the highlights from this conversation we're about to hear?
Yeah, just closing out the summer with talk of some frozen drinks, those being the Frazil, which is the fruit line, and then Cafe Tango, which is a really booming frozen coffee drink area,
Nice.
that,
Yeah.
like, that's all Starbucks sells anymore. I mean, all the chinos, the frappa, uh, especially, is you're seeing, these drink trends in many ways, moving away, I mean, away from alcohol, maybe a little bit, just the same with premium formats. You wanna have
Right.
a variety of options for people to choose from, and this is one that, I mean, I had, I think, caramel macchiato cafe tango at CinemaCon, and I've been dreaming about it
It's
since. It
good,
was
man. I've
it
tried
was
it. I
really
actually tried
delicious.
the fruit one at Cineshow last year. I believe they'll be back at the event this year at the end of this month. But we're not going to make you guys wait any longer to hear that interview. Coming up after the commercial break, Rebecca Pauley interviews Don Schneider, the director of strategic channels for Freezing Point, talking about these frozen beverage treats in theaters. Don't forget to sign up. Listen to us every week by subscribing to the Box Office Podcast in your platform of choice. And we will talk to you again next week.
Are you looking for a personal pizza that packs a pizzeria quality punch? Your patrons are. Increasingly, they're demanding snackable, on the go, convenient options like Villa Premia personal pizzas. Made from premium ingredients with freezer to oven ease, they help you save time and labor no matter your back of house constraints. They even have partially topped options that let you customize and create something totally craveable. Try Villa Premia personal pizzas today. Pizza this good shouldn't be this easy. Movies are the peak of human experience. The powerful sound effects, dazzling visuals, and height of emotion make it an unrivaled mix of sensations. The superior intensity of the movie experience should only ever be paired with superior refreshments. This is where Frazil and Cafe Tango shine. Frazil Slush and Cafe Tango frozen coffee are the best slush on the planet, according to consumer tests. The cold, delicious taste plays perfectly with the salty, buttery popcorn, making it the perfect popcorn partner. Let the slush companion of your choice guide you through the highs and lows of any movie you choose to watch. They'll provide the amazing flavor and experience. You just need to sit back and relax. Find them at frazil.com.
I'm here today on the Box Office Podcast with Don Schneider, Director of Strategic Channels with Frazil. here to talk about everything to do with Frazil Cafe Tango, some really exciting products that you've been rolling out to movie theaters. Don, I'm always I always love to geek out about anything concessions related. So I'm happy to be speaking to you today. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I was just saying before we recorded, I could definitely use a cafe tango right now. It's that point in the afternoon.
It's always a good time for a cafe tango.
Yeah. For those who maybe aren't familiar so much with Frazzle and Cafe Tango, can you give us a quick introduction to the products?
Yeah. So Frazil is our slush brand. It's what we're kind of known as a company. To the actual name of the company is Freezing Point, the parent company. Frazil is our slush brand. It's been around over 20 years. Made with real sugar. It's uncarbonated slush. And then Cafe Tango is our newer, launched about 3 years ago, frozen coffee brand. And really, it's like an indulgent frozen coffee, similar to something you get at one of the coffee chains that's blended, right? So frozen coffee,
Mhm,
batched for easy service by operators.
mhm, mhm. That Cafe Tango got me through the CinemaCon trade show that first day, I gotta say. It was one of the favorite things I had this year. It was really hit the spot. Um
Yeah, no, and it's been catching on in the movie business here the past few years. I started with the company almost 3 years ago, and CinemaCon was one of the first shows I signed up for, actually, knowing that I kinda handle all the entertainment channels, family entertainment centers, amusement parks, and movie theaters, obviously being great places where families and kids hang out. So, there is a kind of an entrenched slush brand that's been around for decades that's kind of in there, but there really is nothing like Cafe Tango out there for operators. And, with the popularity of frozen coffee these days,
Mhm,
it really is something that hits home with consumers. And with consumers coming back to movies, you want to give them what they want, right? And give them more choices than, the old school. You have all these, new screens, new projectors, laser, and
mhm.
luxury and all these things. You can't have the same concessions items you had 30 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
you have to keep that fresh, you have to keep that evolving. I know Gen Z in particular, you've had real luck with Cafe Tango there. I mean, it feels like if you're if you're going to an 8 AM screening of The Odyssey, because that's all you could get, you'd need something, with a little bit of
Yeah, I
kick
mean,
to it.
it's a sweet treat and it's a coffee.
Mhm,
So look at the expansion of places like Dutch Brothers and Seven Brew and Scooters and all of these like
mhm,
chains, obviously Starbucks, right? I mean, 75% of what Starbucks sells is cold frozen beverages. So, that's not changing. And it's really, Cafe Tango really just gives now the movie theater, you know, that offering
mhm,
that, nobody have to go to the Dutch Brothers on the corner and bring it into the theater, right?
mhm,
So, we try to obviously be on trend with the product and with the flavors and they are great products. We got 4 core products,
mhm,
mocha, vanilla, caramel macchiato, and espresso. It's like more of a coffee forward one for the real coffee drinker. And then, we're adding seasonal things this year, pumpkin spice, peppermint mocha to
mhm,
get on those trends that everybody gets into. And really, we try to keep it easy, right? Easy for the operator to work with. It's
mhm,
dry powders, non-dairy. I mean, it's non-dairy for the trim, but also for the simple operations.
mhm,
We do the equipment program, right? So we'll install the equipment for free. We'll service it for free. And other people kind of say they do that, but we do that at a really, really high level
mhm,
as far as our service support, technical support. We have the equipment manufacturer actually put our own IT into the machine at point of manufacture. We do IoT connected. We have our own software that we've developed that we kind of monitor what's going on in the machines. And the end of all that stuff really coming to a better consumer experience. And that's because the machine is always working, right? So our promise to our operators is maximum uptime, right?
mhm, mhm,
Frozen, frozen anything, like frozen beverage or, ice cream, right? The joke about McDonald's is always the ice cream machine is always broken. Well,
mhm.
there's
Yeah.
not really a joke, but that's kinda like the running thing, and it's similar with other frozen beverage equipment. I mean, I've been doing frozen beverage with different companies for 20 years, and
Mhm,
the equipment is always kind of the hard part,
Mhm,
right? And Frazzle or freezing point, we really got that part nailed down, right? So
mhm,
we're expanding pretty rapidly. We're up to over 54,000 machines nationwide now
mhm,
in all the channels.
mhm.
Um,
What's your turnaround time like, or the process for requesting repairs, or should something, you know, act up on the machine? I mean, it's going to happen eventually. You just want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
sure
no,
that
of
you can
course. I mean,
deal
it
with
it
it.
always happens. So it's just a matter of how quickly you can take care of it. So our policy is a 24 to 48-hour response time. And
Mhm,
that's responding, obviously. There's certain we have all data on this, right? So I could tell you all the numbers, right? So it's, 37% of the time it's fixed over the phone, right? If we actually have to send somebody out, 83% of the time it's a first time fix, right?
mhm.
So that means when as soon as the tech shows up, they have the parts, they have everything ready to fix it on the spot. So that means our time to close or our service resolution time
Mhm.
is less than 3 days.
Oh, wow. That's a lot better than the McDonald's soft serve.
Yeah, 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 and that's across 50,000 plus machines in the US,
Mhm.
in every nook and cranny of the US from the middle of nowhere, Montana to, New York City. So
It's great to have that variety. I mean, 'cause we spoke about Gen Z, and one of the trends we're seeing there is a sharp decline in alcohol sales.
correct.
People aren't necessarily going to want to have what you think they want to have. Meet the customers where they are, and they really
Yeah.
are taking to these iced coffee beverages.
Yeah, I think, again, it's really about more choice, right? More choice for, the different kinds of consumers that are coming in, and they are coming back to theaters this year, obviously, but, the other kinda, the big choice thing we have with Frazil is Frazil's made with real sugar, not high fructose corn syrup, right?
Mhm.
So the main kind of brand that's out there, it's high
Yeah,
fructose.
how does it differ in terms of, I guess, from a consumer experiential perspective, like in the mouth feel? How does it differ from
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
that you would typically see
So
like in a gas station, or that the standard?
correct, correct. So there's two basic kinds of slush. There's the kind of the 7-Eleven Slurpee Icy, which is a frozen carbonated product. So it's typically like a soda, basically. So it's a
Mhm,
bag in the box that's combined with air and fluffed up, right? So it's like a fluffy
mhm,
texture item. Then there's our kind of slush, which is like a real slush. It's kind of like like a melted snow cone, like it's
mhm.
uncarbonated, right?
Like
So you're not
everything's like
adding carbonation. It's almost like
everything's integrated throughout the flavor and the base. You're not having that thing where you suck out all the flavor and then you're just left with a hunk
yeah,
of
yeah, correct.
ice.
I mean, that's all kind of like part of how you prepare it and the mixture and the machines and making sure that everything's kind of the way it should be. Yeah, but you should have a, bold flavor all the way through, not when you're, like you mentioned, like you probably get some of the brands that are out there now, you drink it and halfway through you got just ice left at the bottom, right? Ours is kind of, designed and implemented, with our machines at the settings that we recommend to be drinkable all the way through. Again, it's that real sugar versus high fructose corn syrup, so it doesn't
Mhm.
have that kind of artificial, really, like, I don't know, kind of like sensitive teeth sweetness, right?
Yeah, but you
Uh,
still get that splurge element. It's
it's
still a
definitely
treat.
still sugar. It's still sugar, and I think, like I said, I also deal with the amusement parks and the family entertainment centers, and parents seem to be a lot happier buying their kid something without high fructose corn syrup. 30 years ago, it wasn't a big deal. Nobody really thought about high fructose corn syrup. Now it's a little bit different. It's our major differentiator between kind of what's out there and what we have.
Mhm.
So that is a big deal for consumers, right?
So that's true across, the Frazzle and the cafe tank.
Correct.
What kind of flavors or varieties do you offer for the Frazzle side of the equation?
Yeah, Frazil is, our top 2 flavors are blue ras, obviously gonna be number 1, right? It's number 1 in, like, everything, but tiger's blood, kind of like it's a popular snow cone flavor. It's our red. We do have cherry, of course. We have a cherry
Mhm,
limeade also, but, tiger's blood is our popular red. Mango is really popular. We have
mhm.
one called rock and roll, and we kinda have some fun with it, right? It's slush, so we have fun. Rock and roll is basically a grape blueberry. So it's a
Oh,
nice
okay.
purple color, really friendly, really kind of like kid friendly. That's a great
Mhm,
flavor. We have over 20 flavors
Mhm.
with Frazil. We also innovate under that brand. So under Frazil, we have Frazil Energy, which is kind of like caffeine and B vitamins added. That's something fun that some theaters try because it's again something that other people don't have. We do a sugar free. We launched a sugar free slush, which is something that still tastes good, but it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to do. We did, worked in that. We have that. We're kind of obsessed with flavors, obviously. So we got, a few flavors of sugar free. We have just on our innovation schedule. We just recently launched a low sugar for smart snack approved for high schools frazzle
Oh,
line.
okay.
We have a completely no sugar added, 100% juice frazzle that's used for actually meal plans in primary, middle school. Can be a replace a fruit twice a week. So we have some things that really no other company has. We're the only ones that kind of has something like that, at least nationwide with scalability. And we support the equipment program with all of those things. But when it comes down to it, depends on how many machines you have, right? We
Mhm.
have some, say trampoline park chains, they may have 5 machines in there, so they have 8 or 9 different flavors going at once. It's like a wall of
Mhm.
rainbow flavors, but, Blue Raz and Tiger's Blood and, you can throw in some fun ones for a movie, like, Wicked
Mhm.
movie is out. We had our Green Apple and Pog going into theaters. Passion of
Mhm.
Guava, like more guava, like a pinkish, so that was kind of fun. Yeah, it's easy, they're all powders, easily mixed, easily batched, so you can kinda change up the colors for any
Mhm.
kind of, movie coming out.
For
Uh,
the sugar, low sugar, no sugar, is that it's all the same equipment, the same.
yeah, also, we use all the same equipment. It's really just different channels and, different needs. The the low sugar, no sugar is really a regulatory thing, right?
Mhm.
It's because that's needed. We actually have no artificial colors in those 2, so,
Mhm.
if Big Brother comes down and says no
They're
more artificial colors or
not quite so
flavors.
neon, but they still taste just as good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat the original, right? Like, the real sugar stuff, but for what they are, they're definitely great, right?
People have health concerns or health issues. I mean, it's not just a matter of, you know, doing a low sugar version of something because it's trendy. People who people who have to monitor their glucose levels want to go to the movies too.
Yeah, the GLP-1s and all those things going on now. So, yeah, we haven't, added protein powder to anything yet, but, put some protein cold foam on top of a Cafe Tango and you're good.
As long as there's no like kale or quinoa or anything like that
It
in the
Yeah, it's all about a sweet treat. It's all about a fun drink that's a sweet treat, So, we try
it's
to
a splurge. It
keep
connects you
that
with your
thing.
childhood. Like you'd get a snow cone. You look, what flavor do you want? I want blue. I want red. I
Yeah,
want.
funny enough too, like, with all this kind of keeping it easy for our say now, not just the consumers, but our partners like movie theaters. So we use distributors to bring the product to the location, right? So we can
Mhm.
sell direct and we do that where we need to, but we partner with distributors in the industry that are kind of well known in the industry, like Gold Medal. I don't know if you've heard of Gold Medal. Oh, I recently found out from my partner there that they also invented blue raspberry.
In
Obviously, we
South.
sell a lot of blue raspberry, but they're a great partner. They distribute our products through all their branches. Vistar is another partner,
Mhm.
big partner for movie theaters. They do all the candies and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
They're
So
located all over the place, so it's again
yeah,
with
yeah. So we
the
have nationwide
maintenance and the
distribution
repair,
covered
you're
with
not
with
looking
those two
for something
partners.
to be driven halfway across the country, and if you wanna restock.
Yeah, yeah. No, you can. We try to make it easy for our operator partners too, right? So whether you want to get it direct or get it through distributor, we'll do that. I mean, it's a dried powder. It's got a super long shelf life, a long bowl life once it's mixed up. So there's no waste with our program. But really, it's great products, great machines. We
Mhm.
keep the machines running, and the consumers are loving it. So
Mhm.
uh,
Where have you had the most success, or where traditionally have you I know I've seen you at ball games, I know, because I definitely noticed,
yeah, yeah.
noticed that
So
the ball games have been big for,
yeah, so I mean, the company was kind of built on convenience stores. That's where they kinda, like, built to scale with the brand, again, like, for the past 20 years. Over the past 3 years, really since I've been with the company, movie theaters, we got a few hundred movie theaters, right? We're not in every single movie theater yet. We do have, of the top 50, exhibitors, we're probably in some stage of trial or development with 25% of them,
Mhm.
growing. So, hopefully everything continues to go well with all, 99 times out of 100. Uh,
Mm.
the program goes well and continues to expand once it's in. There's a, Frazil.com. You can put in anywhere and you'll find probably something around your location where you're at. CafeTangoCoffee.com is our kind of our separate website we have for that. But for exhibitors themselves, they can reach out to me, right? And I would be kind of the point of contact to show them where they can do it. Cafe Tango is really taking off in the movie theaters again because it's something
Mm.
that nobody else has. Whereas like Frazil Slush has some competition out there. That's so I think we're probably 50-50, like, as far as, like, machine placements, Cafe Tango and Frazil in the movie channel space, whereas, like, in other areas are probably more like 70-30, right, with
Mhm.
Frazil versus Cafe Tango, Frazil being
Mhm.
the more popular brand, where in movie theaters, the kinda Cafe Tango is kind of the more popular brand, at least right now. It's like you've seen there's I think Seven Brew opened like 50 locations like a month. They're opening locations all over the place. Dutch Brothers is doing the same. And it's again not to sell hot coffee, it's to sell these sweet treat, indulgent frozen coffees. Some other they do frozen energy drinks too at these things too. So
Mm.
the trend is out there and it's really just making it more convenient for people to get.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing with Cafe Tango in the movie theater space. So, a lot of times movie theater they want to be a place where you come in and hang out before, right? Before the movie.
Mhm.
So instead of having to go to the coffee shop down the corner and meet up with your friends, you just meet up with them at, the theater, grab
Mhm.
your coffee there, and then go see the movie. Right.
Yeah, especially when we're seeing so many places that have cinemas and bowling and, the entertainment center spaces.
Yeah.
It's just growing and growing and growing. Like there's no reason to just say, "Oh, I'll," if my
Yeah, no,
kids
it's
want
not just
something, they'll just have to go
popcorn and
across
a
the park.
soda anymore. Yeah, you gotta have the different offerings, and a lot of these, especially the luxury ones are so many different food items you can get. But our coffee's been going great. The Frazzle's also been going great. Frazzle also, we can do cocktails. It's uncarbonated, so it also can make a good frozen cocktail for some of those places that do like a frozen espresso martini, right? Which is
Mm.
pretty exciting. It's done well. But yeah, it continues to grow each year. I'm having a lot of fun, working with the movie people. Everybody's great in the industry, supporting, the exhibitors and the concessions is really where exhibitors make their money, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm happy to, we do everything from drive-ins to, the 16 plexes and it's great industry to be a part of and glad Cafe Tango can be and Frazzle can be, support for these theaters making more money.
Are you gonna be at Cineshow or at some of these upcoming?
Yeah, we'll be at Cine Show. We've done that a couple of years. Like so CinemaCon, we've done actually 3 years. It's again one of the first shows they did. That and IAPA, which is kind of the amusement parks and attractions. Those
Mhm.
are kind of our two big shows. But yeah, we'll be at Cine Show. I won't be there, but we'll be there.
For those who maybe aren't gonna be at some of these shows, what's the best way to reach out to you to get more information, ask questions?
Yeah, I mean, Frazzle.com or CafeTangoCoffee.com, they have, contact us. My email is just my name, right? Don.Schneider at freezingpointllc.com.
Mm.
They can reach out there or just reach out via the contact us. And I'm usually pretty good at getting back to people and happy to speak with anybody on how we can help improve concession sales.
That cafe macchiato, it's so good. The caramel one, I mean.
Yeah, the caramel macchiato is great. I mean, that and the espresso are kind of like my two favorites lately. I kind of go around. Obviously, we got pumpkin spice is actually in. We've made it for this year, and that'll be getting into distribution next month. And then the peppermint mocha is really good too. So, in our kind of effort to be like really going along with the trend of premiumization, we're launching some exciting new products next year to kind of go along with the Frazzle brand, and that we're doing candy straws
Oh.
like a tiger's blood straw, right? And that's partnered up with Sour Punch. We're also doing boba. boba is a big thing that's been gaining popularity lately. So obviously boba does well, and those are all kind of like add-on premium upgrades to like drinks, just like doing cold foam or something else on top. So we're launching those later on this year or early next year. I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, the seasonal LTOs were something new for us to do.
Mhm.
The pumpkin spice last year did really well, and so we're adding the peppermint mocha this year, and
Mhm.
I expect that obviously to do well following pumpkin spice. And it always have requests, and we got a big innovation department. I don't want to let too many things out of the bag because people want it before we want to give it to them. So
I'm gonna mark my calendar for when the peppermint comes out.
yeah, it'll be in distribution in October.